Hi everyone, we are hanging out here in Guadeloupe. It is a beautiful Caribbean island. For those of you who don't know where it is, we didn't know before we came here, so it was exciting for us. I am hanging out with Karmen today. She came to visit me on vacation, so we thought we would put her to work on vacation and make this video for you. Karmen works at Google as an accountant, so we thought it would be fun to get her perspective on what it's like to work at Google, because it's a little bit more exciting than my job. Welcome, Karmen.
Thank you, Brandy.
Do you want to tell us about what your job is and what you do at Google?
Sure. So I've been at Google for 4 years now. For the first 2 years, I was in ads revenue accounting, and as some of you may know, that is the bread and butter of Google. We sell billions and billions of dollars of ads each year. And 2 years ago, I switched to the hardware revenue accounting team. So now I account for the devices we sell, which includes our Pixel phone, which this video is being filmed on right now. It's a Pixel 3 XL, not a plug. And we also sell home products such as the Home Hub and also Nest products, which you guys may be familiar with. So that's all included in what I do in terms of accounting for revenue at Google.
Great. And do you want to tell everyone how we know each other? Why are you on vacation with me?
I am on vacation with this cool chick because is that still cool? Anyways,
I'm not sure.
Anyways, I am on vacation with Brandy because I met her when we did our master's program in accounting in Saskatoon many moons ago. I'm not going to say how many years, so we can be perpetually young. And we've been friends ever since.
Yes. Sounds good. All right, so how did you become a Googler? Can you tell us your journey? What did you take in school? Where did you work before you worked at Google? Because I'm sure you weren't just born in a Google test tube. So tell us about your journey together.
Maybe I was.
Maybe you were. I don't know if they're there yet.
No, we're definitely not there yet. So in terms of schooling, I have an undergraduate degree in chemistry, and I was going to be a doctor at one point in my life, and then I realized that wasn't for me after finishing a degree in chemistry. So I did a transitional program at UBC called DAP, which is Diploma in Accounting program, and then I articled at KPMG for 5 years. And then
articling is not 5 years. She articled and then continued on with KPMG. I just want to make the CPA students not scared of articling. It is not 5 years long.
It isn't. I think you can get it done in 3 years now.
I think it's 2.5.
2.5. Okay, so 2.5. And then you can go into industry. But I chose to continue my time there. And then when I finished at KPMG, I applied through Google, and the way I got in was one of our mutual classmates at MHAC was there already, and so I asked her to refer me, and went through a rigorous interview, and then I got it.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So because you started in chemistry, so your path isn't a traditional path. I did my BBA in accounting, and I did a master's in accounting, and then I did my CPA, obviously in accounting. So I just have accounting, and so you started out a little bit different than I did. What made you choose to go into accounting after doing a degree in chemistry?
Well, I finished my degree and I was lost for a year, actually. I didn't really know what I wanted to do or what my interest was in, and I looked kind of around at the people in my family, and I have accountants on both my mom's side and my dad's side who were pretty far along in their accounting careers, and it looked like a life that I wanted, which was a good mix of work, but then also they could go on a lot of vacations and spend a lot of time with their family. So that was definitely a lifestyle I wanted when I was at their age, so I just went for it, knowing that the journey there was not going to be the easiest or the funnest, but it looked like a place I wanted to be at eventually.
Okay. And what originally attracted you to Google? Because I remember when we were actually on a vacation together in Hawaii, she was still working at KPMG, and we were talking about kind of what the next path in our careers were, and Karmen said, oh, I really want to work at Google. And so what made you want to work at Google?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think At the time, I was still in Vancouver, and I was looking at my options when I was still at KPMG, and it was a lot of like either fashion industry, if I wanted to work in a bigger company, or shipping companies, or mining companies, which none of the companies really resonated with me in terms of their business model or what their products were. And I really wanted to work in an industry that was kind of still new, and there was still going to be a lot of changes to the accounting pronouncements, and tech seemed to be the industry that was still changing at the time, and it still is. And so I didn't want to work in an industry that was stale, basically.
Okay.
And tech was something that was evolving, and of course Google is known to be a fun culture, very different from the hierarchical nature of like traditional financial institutions. So I went for it, and the culture is definitely very different from day one. Everybody treats you as a subject matter expert, so you definitely feel the need to own your area and be responsible for it, and it's very open door, flat culture. So all of those things that I had been looking for came true.
That's
and
great.
that was why I chose Google.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So was it scary to move, because you're from Vancouver, or originally from Edmonton, then moved to Vancouver, and now are in San Francisco? Was it scary to move across the border to take on this job?
Not really, and the reason why it wasn't scary was because when I was at KPMG, I actually did a busy season secondment to San Francisco, so I kind of knew what I was getting myself into, which that is another plug for working in a Big Four, is you get these opportunities to live short term overseas or abroad, just to see if you like living there, and also just to learn whether or not you're able to even establish a new life in a new country, new city. So that was a great
You can kind of test it out before you jump in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. So do you work in the San Francisco office, or do you work in one of the other offices?
Well, officially I am located in the Mountain View office, which is the head office of Google, but Google has a very relaxed policy in terms of where we work, so I can work 2 days away from my home office, so I could be in the San Francisco
2 days a week.
2 days a week,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, and we also have other remote policies too. Like over Christmas, I was working from home for 2 weeks in December, which was amazing. I could spend time with my parents and still be employed at Google.
Yeah, that's great. And do you take a slide to the cafeteria from your office?
Unfortunately not. I actually, to prepare for my interview at Google, I watched the internship, and I literally, after I got hired, I spent probably a month looking for the slide that was in the movie and the ball pit, and found that it didn't exist.
How disappointed were you?
I was on a scale of 10, probably 11. Yes. There is a slide though on main campus. It's just not as fun. No, It's like a metal slide. It goes from the second floor to the first floor. It does not land in a ball pit.
Okay.
There are game rooms though.
Okay. That's pretty cool. So what's the Mountain View office like?
It is really cool. There are many buildings, and it spreads across a lot of space. I think depending on what group you're in, you're kind of siloed to one area of campus in terms of like who you work with, you sit with mostly. So it's not like I'm journeying across campus all the time or anything. But that also means that because I'm on main campus, we have like G-bikes, so we can bike to any cafeteria I want. So yeah, I can eat at a new cafeteria pretty much every day for maybe 3 weeks straight. We also have food trucks, so
that's awesome.
That's a perk. And there's also like a lot of walking trails. There's like doctors on site. There's laundry. I don't really need to leave, but of course I do. Tear myself away.
And you don't live in Mountain View. You live in San Francisco.
I live in San Francisco, so we also have G-buses, which are our shuttles, and it gets us from all over the Bay Area to work.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. It's nice to not have to drive.
Yeah.
Sure.
And how often do you cook at home?
So when I first started, the answer is only on the weekends when there are no food available. But recently I've been cooking more, only because I feel like I need to be a little bit more responsible with my nutrition and know what goes into my food, even though I know Google does a great job trying to keep us healthy.
That's great. Okay, so for work, we'll talk more about perks later.
Okay.
But for work, what do you do on a daily basis? Like you were accounting for hardware, but what does your day look like?
Well, there's no day that is the same, I would say, at work. Every day is a little different. So sometimes I'm dealing with fire, so I have to answer questions in terms of how our revenue is doing, how we're performing on certain products during the month. And if I'm not doing that, then I spend a lot of time thinking about how I can do what I do faster. In terms of like automating, like something that's super repetitive that maybe a code can do, then I start thinking about like, how do we get there? What do I need to, like what inputs do I look at? Whether that can be put into a table that can be pulled automatically instead of me looking stuff up and then manually doing the math to get to the answer. Yeah, so building dashboards, writing scripts. It's all things I never would have thought I would be doing as an accountant.
Yes,
like learning
a lot of the data analytics stuff.
Yeah, data analytics and even like coding. I never thought I would be doing, but now I find myself like learning, and it's actually one of the more interesting parts of my job is like learning how to do stuff faster and more efficiently.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
We're very productive people, accountants. So
I just want to get home early.
You just want to get home to your food.
Exactly.
And then what does your month look like? Are there certain times that are busier than others?
Definitely. So I am doing month-end close every month.
Okay.
That's probably the most repetitive thing in my job is to do the close process. And the close at Google is 3 days long, so it's pretty stressful because we have a lot to do in those 3 days. But at least like then it means the rest of your month is kind of open to doing other things which are more interesting and productive in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, for close, it's like the same tasks we do every single month.
And do you like knowing that, of course, as soon as the month end is done, you have those 3 days that you know are going to be busier? Do you like having that schedule kind of set out for you every month?
I mean, I would prefer not to have those 3 days at all. But it is nice, I guess, planning-wise, to know, like, these are the days I need to be in the office and I can't take vacation. Yeah, I guess it's better to have knowing those 3 days versus having a floating 3 days.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
If I never had to be busy, I would choose that. But if you're going to have to be busy, know when you're going to be busy so you can plan your life around it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
Sounds good. Perfect. And I'm just looking at our questions here because some of our lovely students offered questions for us.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Excited.
Yeah. What is your favorite perk of your job?
Oh, favorite perk.
The sun is going down, so we can take off our sunglasses now. What is the favorite perk of your job?
Favorite perk? I would say the massages. They're not free, contrary to popular belief, but they are heavily subsidized. So when I first started at Google, I went like at least once a week, if not twice a week. That was my absolute favorite perk because they're in the same floor sometimes, even as you. So you could literally just walk there, take a quick 30-minute break, get a massage, and then go back to your salon.
That sounds amazing. What are some of the other perks about your job that you like?
My Google perks. So definitely free food. It's great to not have to think about what to eat for breakfast, having a barista on site. We recently got oat milk, which, you know, is now my new thing in my coffee. Let's see. So before, when I first moved into San Francisco, I didn't have a washer dryer in my apartment. So it was nice to have that at work. There's also like professional laundry service.
Would you truck all your laundry to the Google campus every week?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
But that's also because I'm a germaphobe. I rather wash it with other Googlers than with people I didn't know. So,
all right.
What other perks do I like? Oh, definitely like the shuttles and bikes. We also have like free car rentals on site, so you can pick up a car and like run some errands in the middle of the day. That's always nice. There's like mail service. I can like buy my stamps on site too. What else do I like? Oh, there's this like other like programs for you to meet other Googlers. So there's something called Lunch Ninja. So like everyone who's interested just like enrolls, and it's like a system that randomly pairs you up with people so you can meet other people in different areas that you don't always cross paths with.
Is it for dating or for professional?
Well, I think it's professional.
Okay.
Officially.
Just curious.
I know some like good friends through there too.
Okay, sounds good.
And there's also like on-site volleyball, beach volleyball, bocce ball.
fun. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Have you met anyone famous at your work?
Oh, I have. I've seen Liam Hemsworth on site, Jeff Goldblum, Olivia Munn. Who else? Jeremy Lin was there. Ashton Kutcher. The CEO of 23andMe. Anne Wojcicki? I think it's Anne. She gave a talk. Who else? Oh, one of my favorite people who's not very famous, but he's like very endearing to me because he's also Canadian. He's a former, I think he's the VP of Finance of Bell.
Oh, okay.
And he was our former CFO.
Oh, nice.
He's like a super fun guy.
Yeah.
He used to show up in like a onesie back in the day, and he would have like wads of cash, and he would just like chuck it at people. Like that was a bonus. That was great.
That's a great bonus.
And he is like, just his personality is so fun. He came back after he retired. Like 1 year after retirement, he gave a talk to like tell us what he was up to after he retired, and he was just like traveling the world and like volunteering and stuff. It just felt like such a great life, and he has such a bubbly personality.
Yeah.
Just loved him.
Yeah. Of all the famous people you've seen at work, what was your favorite talk?
I really liked our former CFO because of his personality, and also because he was really passionate about his volunteer work after he retired from Google. Also really enjoyed Ashton Kutcher because he talked about his philanthropic work with his mission to basically save children from being used for child pornography. So it was very touching, and he also got really emotional, and he started crying actually during his talk. So it was definitely very touching and memorable. And then Ruth came. Ruth Porat is our current CFO, and she also had a very interesting talk in terms of like talking about her career, and also like I think one of the things that I thought was really impactful to me was like, when is it a good time to leave a job?
Yeah.
And she answered that question really well. So
what did she say?
That too. She said basically when you feel that you are no longer learning or you are no longer adding value to your position, that is when you should leave.
Okay. Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. The sun is going down, guys. Sorry if it's getting shadowy, but we're just going to leave it like this, and we'll just look a little bit darker. That's fine. All right. So, if a public accounting firm offered to double your salary, would you go back to public accounting?
Absolutely not. I mean, truthfully, though, I would say that I wouldn't be here without the KPMG training I received, and I don't regret at all my 5 years at KPMG. In fact, I'm quite thankful I did it. That is Brandy's son, Parker. I think the best things I got out of my time at KPMG was really the exposure to different industry types, and that was actually how I figured out that tech was the area I wanted to be in. I was in a group that did a lot of tech, pharmaceuticals, actually like the catch-all group of all the, like what didn't fit into financial institutions, mining and forestry, or what's the other floor? Real estate.
Okay.
Then it came to us. So basically I was exposed to a lot of companies and nonprofits. So it was really good training in terms of learning quickly how businesses work, what controls were, and like also how to account and audit. So I really enjoyed my time there. And also like if you work for a public company, you really need to know how audits work in order to work efficiently with the auditors. So I wouldn't go back because I enjoy very much my time in industry. There's a much better work-life balance for sure, and also the company I'm with, Google, it's not like it's very flat in terms of I can go to my director and speak with her directly and there'd be no issues with that, whereas in the big four firms it was very linear. Like I had to go to my senior first, and then it gets escalated to the next level and the next level, so it was very vertical, much more than horizontal, which I didn't enjoy. That's not my personality.
Yeah, and I think that is different between the big four and midsize as well. I've done work at both, and I definitely found a difference with the hierarchical structure. That at a midsize firm you could definitely, the partners were much more approachable if you were a lower level accountant and wanted to go talk to them about issues. They would they were more approachable about that.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing I want to talk about as well is when I got my offer, I got one at Deloitte and one at KPMG, and I was trying to remember prior to this talk why I chose KPMG, because I definitely felt like my fit with Deloitte was much better than it was with KPMG, but I think it was like practical stuff, like I got overtime, or like I may have gotten paid like $1,000 more per year.
That's very accountant. Like, we just look at the numbers, right, and don't actually think about our hearts or what would actually be right for us.
Right. Yeah. And I think in retrospect, I would have been happier at a firm that fit my personality better. And I think as like a pro tip to all the students, like definitely find a place where you feel like there's a better fit.
Yeah.
Because being happy at work is much more important than all the other hard
anything else
metrics, right?
A lot of students ask me whether they should do their CPA, because in Canada you can do it through public practice firm or through industry now. When we were going through the system, when we were going through the process way back when, we had to choose before, like if we wanted to be a chartered accountant, we had to go through public practice, which me and Karmen both went through the public practice route to become chartered accountants. So now our students can go CPA through industry or public practice, and so they want to know from your perspective, what do you think is a better route? Should they do public practice if they really want to end up in industry in the long run?
I think, well, I've only been through one, so I can't really definitively say one is better than the other, but just understanding how they both work, I would say it's more beneficial to go through an accounting firm because of the exposure you get. Like in industry now, I am doing one thing. I'm doing revenue, and I've been doing revenue for the last 4 years, and I would imagine if I had gotten my hours in industry, unless I moved around to different companies or even within the same company every like few months, the level of exposure and learning I would have gotten would not be as holistic as it would have been at a accounting firm. Because I lived, like, for us to qualify as back then chartered accountants, we had to do audit, we had to cover nonprofits, I did tax, like personal tax. So it was like a lot of, like, you see and learn a lot in the same amount of time, which I don't think industry would provide you with if you were learning, like getting your hours and trying to become a CPA. So I would recommend going through the accounting firm route.
Okay. And is there anything, if you could go back and do it all over again, would you do anything differently?
I think the biggest mistakes I've made in my career is staying at a position for too long. I think if I could go back in time, I probably would have left KPMG maybe a year earlier. And also when I was at Google, or when I am at Google, in my prior position in ads, I think I would have left a year earlier as well.
Not Google the organization, but
just the team.
The team, another team. Okay.
So I think if I could do things differently, I would leave my position sooner than stick it through and try to, I don't even know what I was trying to do. I think I was just trying to be responsible and carry it through. But like, I think it's what Ruth said, right? When you feel like you're not learning anymore, you're not positively adding to your role anymore, it's time to search for something else. And there's also another piece I learned recently as well, is that you should always start looking when you're happy in your current position and not leave when you're really upset, because then you just leave for something else that might not be better than what you are now, like the position you're in now. So
no, that's very true. Awesome. Okay, Google, do you need to have worked at a public practice firm, or could you have come up through industry, or does Google take on first year students? How does the structure work there?
Yeah, so things keep evolving. So I just actually recently learned that there are accountants there that have not worked at Big Four or an accounting firm. But I think that's where I think it's better to have gone through the accounting firm route, is because we do have to work with auditors. And like, when you haven't audited or been in an accounting firm, it's harder for them to figure out what the auditors are looking for, what they're trying to test, why are they asking these questions. So I think that's when the benefits come through. And in terms of first year students, when I started, they didn't, which was 4 years ago. And I noticed in the last few years, we have what's called the associate program.
Okay.
So I guess Google in the past had always hired from like certain schools,
Yep.
like Stanford, UC Berkeley, and I think someone had made a suggestion to like, let's start looking at other schools.
Yeah.
And so this person piloted a program to like hire new grads from schools in the US, and like typically not schools that we would look at. And then we started hiring right out of university for them to do a 2-year rotational program where they rotate through different areas in Google, and at the end of the 2 years they apply to one of these groups.
Oh, that's great. I also have a lot of students who are a little bit afraid of the commitment of going through their CPA, because obviously you have to do a 4-year degree and then at least, I believe it's 2.5 years of work experience and correspondence on top of that, and then their big exam at the end. It's a lot of work to get your CPA.
Yeah.
So I think students are a little bit worried that they're going to do all this work and then they are going to hate accounting. So do you think that CPAs can branch out and do something else other than accounting once they have their CPA designation, or do you think they are going to be stuck? Like what's your recommendation for those students who are like, they're in university and they're like, oh, I kind of want to do accounting, but I'm just not sure because it's a big commitment?
Yeah, that's actually one of the other reasons why I continued on with my accounting degree, is that, not degree, but like my professional experience, was because I feel like having your CA or CPA now, it opens actually a lot of doors. Like once you become financially literate, people will actually need those skills.
Definitely.
So you can be an advisor once you've accumulated enough experience. I now volunteer on boards, and my retirement goal is to be on boards and to continue to advise based on my career in accounting. And you can always use that to, you know, in operations. There's a lot of people in strategy that needs financial assistance. You can start a business if you want to. And actually the friend who recommended me for Google is now in sales ops. So, you know, people transition into sales as well. So there's actually a lot of opportunity to do anything and everything, really, once.
And I think especially if you are coming up through an accounting firm, you get to see so many different businesses, and you get to, the first part of your audit is actually going in and understanding the business processes. So if you're looking at one business a month, let's say, you're looking at 12 new businesses, potentially 12 new industries a year. So you learn how to understand a business so fast that you can, after you're done your CPA, as long as you are not limited by the belief that you have to be an accountant, I don't think you have to stay in accounting.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Thank you. And last question, I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this one.
Okay.
Where is the best place that we have gone on vacation together? Very serious.
Where have we gone on vacation? Hawaii in here?
We've gone Hawaii, we have been here to Guadalupe, and we have been to Mexico, silly girl.
Oh yeah, Mexico.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And of course our lovely summers in Saskatchewan doing our master's
yeah.
program.
Oh man. Oh, that's a tough one. I really enjoyed all of our trips together. Let me think. I think I'm going to pick Saskatchewan. Only because...
She's picking Saskatchewan, Saskatoon, Canada.
It's not
over Hawaii and over the Caribbean.
Over Mexico as well. Yes. But no, it's not the place. I feel like it was the people.
Okay.
Like we really formed really good friendships there. And I feel like, I don't know, like when everything's new and when you first meet someone, like all the memories are deeper. And like we had our little crew at school, so we would used to make dinner together and hang out, and like I feel like those memories are still very near and dear to me.
That's awesome. And those like the classmates and your friends that you make in university, I mean, they're friends for life, right? And I feel like the group that we went through our master's program together, we keep in touch, and it might be from afar, but if we want to if someone needs a job, we all like help each other find jobs that we want, and I think we're all stronger for knowing each other now.
I think that's one of the best things about doing like an MBA or master's program is the connections you build.
Definitely.
Yeah, and like you have friends for life, like Randy said, and definitely it's like a good bridge to getting you to the next place, wherever you want to go.
So thank you, Karmen, for being here with me on vacation. This is the best YouTube video ever because we're just sitting on the beach. And if they have any questions, if my students have questions for you, can we do a follow-up video?
No, just kidding. Absolutely, as long as it's on vacation again.
Okay, I'll come down to San Fran and we'll do a follow-up video.
Okay. It's not vacation for me, but sure.
We'll go to Napa.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was going to say we can go to the Google office.
Oh, yeah, let's do it in the Google office. Okay, that sounds great.
Okay.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye.